Hello and welcome to Maritime Conversations with Meluha Maritime. I'm Palak Sharma. We have often heard of the Navy as the silent service and the seas and oceans as unknown domains to many people on land. A set of people have taken it upon themselves to unpack the seas and oceans to you through Meluha Maritime. Today, in this unique first episode of the new year, we turn our lens inwards, our camera towards us, and speak to the founders of Meluha Maritime, what this company is all about, and what they hope to do. I'm joined by Commodore Srikant Kesnur and Swaroop Anand, both of whom many of you are familiar with. So let's dive straight into the discussion. So, Commodore Kesnur, let me begin with you. I've known you for many, many years as a passionate advocate for maritime issues, a maritime evangelist, as you call yourself. So, tell us why this new company and what are you aiming to achieve?
Okay, Palak, thanks so much. Greetings to all our viewers for the new year. Wishing you all a splendid 2026. Let me begin by recounting two recent interactions. Um, Admiral Shekhawat, a venerable gentleman, one of our most distinguished officers, he told me recently that he was attracted to the seas simply by the classics that he had read in school. He was referring, of course, to English literature that he read in school. And these were not books about the Navy or the oceans, but because Britain ruled the seas, so to say, at one particular time in history, even their normal literature made lots of reference to seas and oceans. And he says, when I read that, I, a person who grew up in mountains, belonged in some ways to Rajasthan, was attracted. And it's not that he wanted to rise to become the chief of naval staff. As he himself said, I just wanted to experience the seas and the oceans. I met another gentleman, Commodore PCB Nair, who said that he joined the Navy because he saw a poster in his school of then Navy Chief Admiral Paisy saying, "Join the Navy and see the world." So, what am I hinting at? What am I getting at? It is basically this, that in a country like us, if we want to make maritime well known or popular, we got to use the medium of what is called public culture. That is literature, cinema, art, drama, museums, and mediums like that. So at some point of time, I realized that if you want to take maritime to the masses, if you want to increase India's maritime quotient, so to say, the preferred medium should be through popular culture. And that's how I thought Meluha Maritime, I'd been doing work in that, but that's how I thought we ought to progress. I mean, I've done done the serious stuff, the PhDs and writing for serious journals, and I'm not looking down upon that at all. But I just felt that if you have to make the country more maritime aware and maritime conscious, then there have to be a few of us in the medium of popular culture or public culture. So my basic idea is to make maritime sexy, and I think we have an excellent team to be able to do that.
Well, absolutely, and I'm glad to be associated with it right now. And we've read a lot about you, but that's a very interesting take, Commodore Kesno, for people to know about maritime issues, the history, something like this. We are really looking forward to. Now, Swaroop, before I come to the company, I'm fascinated by your interests in Navy and maritime issues. Tell us how it started. When did you meet Commodore Kesnur? Of course, you've already would have read a lot of what he has written and his videos, etc. Tell us more.
Thanks, Palak. Palak, I'm a pakka civilian, like Commodore Kesnur keeps telling everyone he meets and he introduces me. I have nothing to do with the Navy, or at least I didn't. Possibly the only connection was I grew up in Sainikpuri in Secunderabad, is a sprawling cantonment, and we lived very close to the College of Defence Management, which is on this road called the Admiral Katari Marg. And that was something that I used to see when I used to cycle to school, which was again incidentally right opposite the College of Defence Management. Um, so I think that somehow planted a seed. But I basically am a mechanical engineer by training. Did my MBA at ISB. Was in the startup space in India for over a decade, and wouldn't really have a lot to do with the Navy, except that this seed was probably there, which was planted in my childhood. I also realized that the maritime story, or the story about the Navy, is actually very undertold. In our
Correct.
country. And so then I kind of started reading anything and everything that I could find, researching. That kind of led on to deeper research, and I started writing long form pieces, biographies on Twitter, these threads on Twitter, and so things like that. I used to, and I still do, write a lot on Wikipedia. I edit a lot of articles on Wikipedia, and at the risk of sounding immodest, majority of these articles on the Indian Navy, its leaders have been written by me. And in that endeavor, or in that journey, I met Commodore Kesnur on Twitter of all places, right? So I'd
Mhm.
written a biography, or an article on an admiral of yore, and I'd sent it to him for his comments. Asked him what he thought of it, and he immediately shared, his phone number. He was still serving at that time. So I think in 2019, and we just, I think we kind of really hit it off because of our shared, love for history. And so then we started collaborating, and we started writing together. And of course, doing maritime conversations together, and cut to now where we founded this company together.
Well, that's wonderful, Swaroop, and I'm sure we can learn a lot from your expertise as well. Of course, needless to say, a lot to learn from Commodore Kesnur and his knowledge of the maritime universe. And as they say, Navy is the silent service, so certainly a lot to learn from Meluha Maritime, Maritime Conversation, and all of what you all have to say. But Swaroop, let me follow up on what you said, and what are the four, 5 areas that Meluha has decided to work on? What are the kind of verticals? What are we going to see in the future now that Meluha Maritime is really upcoming already?
Yeah, I think it's quite an important kind of question. What are we doing here, right? So, Malak, I think at the very outset we knew that the maritime domain is pretty broad, and our work kind of needed to reflect that breadth, so to say. Um, so we largely have five verticals. The first, is research and publications. That forms the core. Books, long form writing, documentation on maritime and naval history, and that I think is quite foundational, to what we do. Second is advisory and consultancy. Working with institutions, with museums, with filmmakers, media houses, basically anybody who needs credible, maritime context and historical depth, so to say.
Okay.
The third is education and outreach, right? So lectures, courses, seminars, public facing initiatives in schools, universities, colleges, so that we build maritime awareness beyond a niche kind of audience. The fourth
Mhm.
is media and content, platforms like Maritime Conversations, and the many, podcasts and seminars that Commodore Kesnur, features in. Basically, the digital storytelling, bringing these ideas to a wider audience, so to say.
Mhm.
And the fifth is innovation and industry consulting. I think this is something which is, coming up, in the recent past, where you have more and more startups, getting into the defense, in the defense areas, in the defense sector. So I think here Commodore Kesnur's operational insights, as a career naval officer, and my background as an engineer and entrepreneur, I think that will, come together to kind of advise startups and companies engaging with the naval and marine ecosystem. So yeah, so five verticals, so to say: research and publications, advisory, consultancy, education outreach, media content, and innovation and industry consulting.
Well, absolutely, and that's a lot to look forward to. So, all
Yes.
of you who are watching us right now already, log in to get your dose of all kinds of maritime information, as Swaroop mentioned here. And I'll come back to Swaroop, but right now, Commodore Kesu, coming back to you, what are the kind of challenges you see in this endeavor? We have a lot of, lot of information already available on different platforms. Uh, Meluha Maritime is not just another one, as Swaroop mentioned. There are a lot of things that one can really learn from this one in written format, in video format. There's a lot to look forward to, a lot of expertise that people are going to share with us. What is the kind of response that you've had so far, and what are you looking forward to? What are the challenges you foresee?
Thank you. The response has been actually amazingly wonderful. Apart from a whole lot of well wishers who sort of greeted and wished well, both Swaroop and I had not expected, but we got we got more than a half a dozen business queries, of whom, many of them are crystallizing. I can't for reasons of business confidentiality tell you that, but we were not expecting to get into business so soon, frankly.
That's
So
quite.
we have hit the ground running, and we are delighted with the vote of confidence that different people in the maritime sector has shown to us. Uh, However, having said that, I want to make it clear that at this stage, we are a boutique company in the sense that we're not really aiming king size. We are conscious of what we can do. We don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We see ourselves as intermediaries sometimes, or both creators of content and curators of content. That means we are enablers and facilitators in some case with people who have ideas. Now, you talked of the problems and challenges and opportunities. The thing is like this. Actually, if you see the maritime world now, it is immensely exciting. Looked at it whichever way you look at
Yeah.
it, operationally, Sindhu, what the navy was doing, lots of interest about that. You look at trade, increasing trade, huge amount of happenings in the merchant navy domain. There is greater focus on indigenous shipbuilding. There's huge amount of funding. You look at history, there's a lot of going back to India's maritime history, lot of books recent in written times, whether it's Cholas, Marathas, times before that, going right back to the Indus Valley civilization. As we speak, there is a 5th century stitch ship going from here, from Gujarat to Oman. So the kind of creative energy is happening. We have, as you're aware, two women who circumnavigated the world and came. The Navy is doing so much in the field of maritime diplomacy. The International Fleet Review, the mother of all events, is
Yeah.
happening in February, along with ION's conclave of chiefs as well as the Milan. So there's lots happening. Now, our idea, our challenge is to convey some of this excitement that I share. You can see that I'm talking in an excited way. So my challenge or our challenge is, how can we convey some of this sense of excitement to the rest of our countrymen, and to all the people, because these are genuinely big bang stories, not merely because they are happening in the maritime world, but because they have a lot of significance to the rest of our country. I mean, see, the Prime Minister's article yesterday on Somnath makes reference to the seas, to the oceans, to maritime trade, and all that. So the seas and oceans figure one way or the other in our consciousness all the time. So our challenge is to bring that much more into our daily discourse in an interesting way. The point that I'm trying to make is this: there is a lot of good, serious work for policy prescriptions and all that going on. Uh, but perhaps there is not enough storytelling about the Navy. Not just the Navy, the maritime world. There's not enough storytelling. And we want to do storytelling. At the same time, the challenge is that pop must not be seen as as less scholarly. I mean, pop just does not mean subaltern studies. Pop just does not mean dumbing down. It just does not mean that, oh, you're doing something in the teak hair brigade. So our idea is to straddle these worlds, to bring to combine scholarly rigor with a storytelling verve, so that maritime seas and oceans become more a part of our national discourse. The second is, when you adopt a storytelling format, uh, the challenge is to convert sometimes an abstract idea, or sometimes something that people on land don't relate easily to in by ways of telling it anecdotally. So storytelling often involves history, it involves people, and it involves medium like, say, cinema, exhibitions, outdoor spaces, museums, and things like that. So our idea is to actually use a variety of mediums, and that is where we feel, in fact, we can do a whole lot of collaborative endeavors. If I mean, I'm saying that the maritime scenario requires many of us to work together. So, for example, we have a very exciting research cohort. Many of you who are part of our team bring a variety of strengths in different fields. Similarly, our advisory board, very distinguished people who bring in different specialization. There's one world class sailor. There's a fantastic, top class journalist. There is a top rated scholar. There's someone who has been the chairman and managing director of a shipyard. There is an outstanding merchant navy person, become ad person and photographer. There is someone who is into maritime museums and done some stupendous work there. So if you see, we have this kaleidoscope of talent, specialities, and verticals across a wide range of maritime domains. So the idea is to sort of plant a little sapling in each of these and see which of them germinated. I mean, all of them might not go at the same may not get the same traction, may not have the same magnitude, may not get the same momentum and velocity, but our idea is to try and plant a sapling everywhere. So in that pursuit, I'd also, since you asked about the message to people, what I'd like to tell our future partners, collaborator, contributors is, if you have a story to tell, please tell us. If it is maritime related, we'll publish it in Maritime Musings. For example, we got an interesting story coming up soon on how the Indian Navy has been shown in Indian cinema. Now, this is exclusive. I don't think anyone else has spoken about this. So, if you got interesting stories to tell on anything maritime, ocean, seas, please come to us. We will publish it. If you have an interesting idea to have a conversation, or you meet an interesting hero of the maritime world, please record that. We will use it. We will do, of course, due diligence, but we will be happy to share that with the wider world. If you are looking at collaboration in creating maritime museums or spaces or something like that, please call us. We can partner with you. If you want to write books, coffee table books or something, if you want to create content for cinema, if you want to do OTTs, documentaries, cinema on sea stories, navy stories, we could help you. If you want to do plays, we could help you. So it's an exciting word, and keeping maritime as our flag, we would like to proceed uh, full ahead, but conscious of what we can achieve. So that's what we're aiming at. Let's see. That's the challenge and opportunities.
Absolutely, and all the very best to you all, the entire team of Meluha Maritime, because there's a lot to know, like you said, and very less stories known. And I think Meluha Maritime should act as a bridge between the maritime domain and people who are interested in knowing. That's quite a big talent pool you mentioned there, and I'm sure our audience also are very, very excited and looking forward to all that they can learn. And that brings me to the question with Swaroop. How do you view the maritime scenario today, generally in India, and what is your message? What is it that you'd like to tell people right now?
Oh, so I think it's extremely exciting, right? I mean, if you kind of look at the kind of things that I think Comrade Kesnur just kind of touched upon it. The Indian Navy, is building ships indigenously at a rapid pace. They are, being superstars in different theaters, in different maritime theaters across the globe. You have the Stitch ship, which is, sailing from our coast to the Middle East. You have circumnavigators, multiple, generations of circumnavigators now, doing some really interesting and important things. So I think the time has never been better. I think it's a very interesting moment for India, maritime wise. Operationally, strategically, intellectually, I think the domain is getting a lot of attention, but of course we're still early, in that journey. I think for maritime awareness to kind of, proliferate, so to say, it cannot be episodic. It needs to be constantly. You need to constantly have, conversations about it. And I think whether you're a student, a researcher, a business leader, a policy maker, or someone just curious about the maritime domain, I think there's space for everyone in this conversation. And hopefully we are, enablers in that conversation. I think fundamentally, if you kind of look at it, at least the way we kind of see it is, the sea is, it's not just a backdrop to India. It is, center to its, past, its present, and its future. And that, I think, is what we're trying to do.
Right, and that's very wonderfully put, Swaroop. Certainly, I personally am very excited to know more, learn more through these maritime conversations where we get lots of people from the maritime domain to tell us their stories, and of course, a lot more history, learning, reading. Swaroop, any last words for our audience from your side, for the partners, collaborators, or all those with a stake in this domain?
No, so I think, like Commodore Kesnur said, I think we have a stellar board of advisors. Sometimes, I kind of go back to our website and look at the page again and say, how did this happen, right? How did we get, this kind of board of advisors and the research cohort as well? I think each one, brings a different kind of expertise to the table, and that I think is what is very exciting. Because when you get these really talented individuals together, I think something special can be created, and hopefully we create something special with Meluha Maritime.
Well, absolutely, and also wishing you all the best. And I would have loved to, continue this wonderful discussion, know more about Meluha Maritime, Meluha Conversations, the kind of people that are going to be a part of this. But I think it's best to leave it to the future episodes where we can actually see
Yeah.
what's happening and we can know more stories. So thank you all very much, Commodore Srikant Kesnur and Swaroop Anand, for telling us, the audience and the people, so much about Meluha Maritime, its vision, and a lot of excitement that is coming up. And to all the audience, to all the viewers, to all of you who are interested in not just the maritime domain, the Indian Navy, but all sorts of stories, the technical expertise, and everything else. If you want to learn more, please tune in. We have our website. You can tune in and read us on Twitter, LinkedIn. We have an Instagram page. We have a YouTube page. So all the social media information is available on different platforms. So please join us and stay tuned for more such wonderful conversations with us and with the experts in this domain. Thank you all for now. I'm Palak Sharma.
Thank you, Palak.
Thank you.